Welcome to Latam, a new chapter in our series of events called From Home Export Days, organized by the CNM, your French music partner. My name is Benjamin Demeleux-Mester, and for more than a year now, together with my colleagues, we've been hosting panels, networking sessions, showcases, and more to keep connecting French and international professionals together and to keep the music sector worldwide up to date with what's going on in France. The previous contents are still available to watch online on our website, cnm.ifr. Asia in the limelight, jazz focus on the Nordic countries and many others, whether about rock, pop, electro, classical music or jazz. Check them out on the From Home Export Days page. The last episode of Latamia focused on the Mexican and Colombian markets, and it is also available on replay. Today, we're going to Brazil for this panel called Audience Development and Pitching International Artists. We've built this event with the help of the French embassies in Brazil and in Colombia, as well as the great moderator, Daniela Ribas, director of Sonar Cultural. She's a consultant in career planning and management in the music industry based on data analysis and trends in audience behavior. Now, I'm delighted to give the floor to Dani, who will present you to our guests. Thank you very much for joining us, and take it away, Dani.
Hi, I'm Dani Ribas. Good morning. Hi, everybody. Well, thank you, Benjamin in Portuguese. And thank you, CNM, for inviting me to organize and moderate this panel. Thank you, all the team involved for all the work during the last month, Julien, Briek, Marina. Thank to the French artists and their teams for the audience, and thanks to everyone who is watching us over the internet. It's a great pleasure to be part of this event and discuss the topic of audience development. Is my specialty and our specialty here, right? I'm Dani Ribas, and I'm going to present today's panel and speakers. It's a great professionals here today, and they are my friends, personal friends in the music market. It's a great honor to share this table with you girls. And now I present the panel and each one of you, right? The panel is how to click with Brazil, audience development and pitching international artists. In an era when everything vies for consumer attention in digital media, how to think about digital marketing for music specifically? In this panel, the specificities of music marketing will be discussed, taking into account the experience of Brazilian communication agencies, digital aggregators, and platforms. With Marina Amano, Listo Music. Marina Amano is the founder of Listo Music, a digital marketing agency specializing in strategies for launching music and digital content. Work with artists such as Rashid, Tuyo, Atosha, Lued Luna, Silva, among others. She has solid experience in strategic planning, management of social media and streaming players, community management, and relationships with labels and distributors. In addition, Marina is general manager of Tuyo, Felipe Flip, Óbvio, Stella, Yeshua, and Sandro. Hi, Marina. Only hi.
Will you introduce my colleagues now, or?
No, I will introduce your colleagues. So only hi.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, and now Marina Mattoso, Jangada Comunicação, for over 10 years at the helm of digital communication for clients in the music market, such as Gilberto Gil and Cláudia Leite. Marina Mattoso is today a CEO of Jangada Comunicação, an agency focused on strategic planning and content markets in the entertainment industry. Marina is also the coordinator of the digital marketing for artists and strategic content creation courses at Music Hill Academy, like me. In addition to teaching the digital marketing class in the music business course at Instituto Gênesis. And together with Anita Carvalho and Roberta Sena, she offers consultancy to artists through strategic career and acceleration plan, PASSE. Hi, Marina. To Marina here.
Hello, Dani. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Sim.
Good afternoon for our French audience.
Okay. And now, Veronica Pessoa, Altafonte. Veronica Pessoa is a Brazilian music manager and journalist. Her expertise is creating projects and making them happen by finding funds and building an effective network to work on booking, management, label, and press. Over the past 10 years, she has managed several Brazilian artists around the world and made the artistic design of many cultural events. She worked as label manager in Believe Distribution, and now, just now, is the head label manager at Altafonte Distribution in Brazil. Pessoa is also a radio journalist. She used to present new Brazilian artists on FM radio in Rio de Janeiro, and currently runs the world music show Cenas do Mundo em Frei Caneca FM Radio em Recife. Hi, Veronica.
Hi, Dani. Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. Bonjour à tous. Je suis très contente d'être là. On va partager beaucoup d'informations. Ce sera très amusant. Thank you.
Très chic. And me, I'm Dani Ribas, already presented by Benjamin. Well, so to start this panel at first, I ask each of you to make an initial presentation with points that you consider important to think about digital marketing today, where everything vies for our attention in the internet, and a specific point, French artists who want to internalize to the careers and want to enter the Brazilian market. How do we think, what the particularities of the local market, for example? How do a digital marketing specifically for our market? So I think let's start with Veronica, who knows the French market very well, and the Brazilian too. And then Marina Amano, and then Marina Mattoso. But at first, let's start with Veronica. Let's go, Veronica.
Thank you, Dani. Yeah, actually, I don't know French market so well. I spent just 2 years there. I kept in touch with a lot of French artists and bookers and managers, and it was really interesting. I spent some time working a French distributor, Believe. So it was a very good experience. And I came here to bring some points that I think that are quite important to connect Brazil and the French market. Actually, first of all, I'd like to thank you very much to everybody that came here to listen to us, to listen these informations that we are bringing here, because I think to connect to music market, the Brazilian music market, is really important to know the market before. You know, there are some artists and managers and bookers that just start to work in some country, but doesn't invest some time on listen people that lives there, that works there, that knows that market. So I think that the most important here is to show you about our music market and share with you some tips to really connect to this market and to the Brazilian music. So I think that Brazilian and French music markets are extremely different. And to French people that wants to connect with us, I think that the first thing to understand is that the size of the countries are so different. And it brings a lot of small difference that make a little bit hard to come here to Brazil because Brazil is huge. We have 200 million people here living here. You know, I live in São Paulo, that is the most big city in Brazil, and we have in São Paulo 21 million people living in one city, in Ville. So it's quite crazy to have so many people in this country. France, I hope that French people knows a very important state in Brazil called Bahia, where the music is so important. And France, the country, is the same size of Bahia. That's one state inside of Brazil. So we have completely different numbers. We have different numbers of people connected to internet. We have different audience in the concerts. We have a different number of cities to tour. So it's quite different. And the size is one thing that's pretty different. And there is another thing that makes difference, actually, that in France, French artists and managers and bookers, the French music industry has a huge support from their government and also from the companies and the festivals and the venues. From all the French people has some how can I say, support from a lot of sides. You know, we have a government program to record albums, to make video clips, we have the Intermittente do Espetáculo, I don't know if you girls know this. This is a support that French government gives to people that works in live arts, on theater and music, and some artists that lives in France. So we have a lot of support from the government. And here in Brazil, it doesn't happen anymore. Nowadays, we have a president that is like terrible. So we don't have it nowadays. And back on the days, we had some support, but not so much as there is in France. So these two differences make a huge difference between the two music markets. So but here in Brazil, this difference of size, it's huge on digital too. Brazil is really digital. And I like that Brazil is, how can I say, avant-garde on digital. You know, we really know how to work on digital. We will listen from the two experts in market digital after me that we really know how to work on digital, but we know this because we need this. We have so many people connected here in Brazil, and it's really necessary to be connected to them to make some audience listen to your music. So, for example, here in Brazil, we have 160 million internet users, 150 million of social media users. So social media is really important here to build a career, to connect to people, to make your music be listened to someone. And but I have a very, very happy, I am very happy to bring here another data that says that 53% of Spotify top 200 artists at the last year were independent here in Brazil. So I bring the information that Brazil is huge. We have no money from the government, but we are really strong on digital, and we are independent. You know, you don't need to have a major to be here in Brazil. I think that there is another thing that's important too. You have to make your music come to Brazil on digital and came to Brazilian listeners on digital. And to make this is really important to have some good distributor or some people here that can connect you to the audience. Brazil is one of the countries that most listen to it itself in the world. So Brazilian people really loves Brazilian music. And so to come here is important to understand this too. And maybe connect to Brazilian artists and connect to Brazilian players to know how to connect to the Brazilian audience. So I always recommend to understand that Brazilian people likes its music, and maybe try to understand which music is this, which music is playing here in Brazil. And then you can connect to each one or to each artist or each kind of music here. So it's quite interesting to think about Brazilian market. We are digital, we are independent, but we keep listening to ourselves a lot. So the tips, I think that to be really objective, to not take so long time, I think that we have some tips that are important. Marketing digital, that you're going to learn a lot of Brazilian marketing digital. It's really important. I think that I would suggest featuring Brazilian people like their artists. So if you have some connection here, to make some featurings to connect some people here, it will be really important. And I think that when I say about Brazilian distribution, it's interesting to explain that there is not a Brazilian distributor working nowadays in Brazil. All the distributors are come from French, from Spanish, from United States, but we have huge teams here based here in Brazil. So if you have a distributor that have a team working on Brazil, your music will be well worked, well delivered to Brazilian audience. And it's a very interesting thing to start with your distributor or your label or someone that is working with you to deliver this in a very good way. I think these 3 points are quite important: the marketing digital, the distributor, and understand that Brazil likes its music. So featuring is also a very good tip, I think. And it's the most important, the message that I'd like to leave to you is that it's so important to do what you are doing here today. That's try to understand which word is this one that you are wondering to go on, which word is this, how Brazil works. It's quite different from your country, but it's quite open to. I think that Brazilian people works with different music. We really love to listen. How can we change our own music? We like to work with new people. Brazilian artists like to connect to people from abroad. So I think that's important to connect, really connect to the country and really understand how your music will be well delivered to this audience. I think I hope that I made me myself to understand to you. And this is the small tips that I'd like to bring to you today.
Thank you so much, Vero, for these tips. I think you said very important things, very important points, and I always say to my in my courses, in my classes, that's so important to understand the cultural universe of our audience. And here in Brazil is so especially because we hear a lot of music, Brazilian music. Our cultural universe is so important to understand, to enter here. Okay, let's start now with Marina Amano. Well, two Marinas.
What else should I say?
Because so confused.
Veronica's speech was perfect.
Thank you. I'm thinking just as Marina, because like Veronica said it so perfectly. But
it's difficult to talk after
her. Next time we want to start. Done.
Well, but I think I have some tips to add for Veronica's speech. So first thing is it's important to understand the audience in Brazil and how is our behavior consuming music. And as Veronica said, Brazil is the country that most listens to local music because of many factors. Why this happens in Brazil? It's because First of all, I think it's because of the language, because we are isolated from Latin America because of the language. And here, our Portuguese is different from Portugal Portuguese. But at the same time, we also have some featurings and audience in Portugal for Brazilian music. But the language isolates us from Latin America. We don't speak Spanish, and most of Brazilians don't speak English. They don't speak Spanish. They just speak Portuguese. So for social media, I think it's important to understand that if you are coming to Brazil, if you want to build your audience here in Brazil, think about creating content translated to Portuguese. On Facebook, it translates automatically, but on Instagram, because we use a lot of Instagram. So on Instagram, if you can, please translate for Brazilian Portuguese, because people don't speak English. Just we have this privilege to study, to speak English, but most of Brazilians, they don't. So it's important. And as Veronica said, Brazil is a huge country, and it's very difficult also to us from São Paulo, for example, touring on the Northeast, because it's too far, it's expensive, we don't have help from the government, and the culture is very different. We have like some main clusters in music in Brazil, like the most listened music in Brazil now is funk and sertanejo. Sertanejo is like a country music, Brazilian country music. And when I say funk, it's Brazilian funk. Maybe you know about something about Brazilian funk. But also we have another kind of country music that is forró, that is huge in the Northeast. And also we have some genres growing in Brazil as rap, trap, pop. They also have their space in Brazil, and they are growing a lot. And also we have a scenario for rock and indie rock scenario also. So before the pandemic, we had a lot of festivals for every genres. I don't know what will happen next year, because we don't have hope to return to the stage this year. Maybe our age, I'm 36 years old, and I think I will get the vaccine just next year here in Brazil, because yes, we have this problem with this president. And what else? There's something very important in Brazil also. People use to listen to music on YouTube. And then they listen to music on Spotify and Deezer. And we have a few people listening to music on Apple Music, for example. I think Amazon Music is growing in Brazil, but people are used to listen to music on YouTube a lot here in Brazil. So if you're thinking about releasing a song, please put that song inside YouTube. Think about a video clip, because we are heavy users on YouTube, and also heavy users in Instagram, and TikTok is making it's a tool to discover new music in Brazil. People are using TikTok a lot, and I think it's a great way to have your international music here in Brazil growing using TikTok with dances and everything. So you should think about it. And as Veronica said, we are heavy users of internet. about the features that Veronica said, also, I think it's important to find out who is the artist that are related to our music in Brazil. So make a research. It could be important to understand what are these artists that are related to you in Brazil, because when you are looking for a featuring, I think you should make a research to understand who is your audience and who has a similar audience that still doesn't know you. So it's important to think about it. And I think that's it. Some tips about our country and how we consume music.
One more time, so important tips by Marina Amano. It's are excellent points, because I think okay, the language is a great not problem, but it's a question. The language is a really question, because is a different language than English. We don't have this habit to speak English. It's very expensive to learn English, to travel to learn English. So it's a very important tip. And these other tips, like genres, styles of music, it's important to know these styles. I recommend a tool, for example, to study the Brazilian genres. It's called Every Noise at Once. It uses an API of Spotify and map the genres around the world. So I recommend this tool, Every Noise at Once. It's a site you can see the tree of genres and styles of music around the world, so in Brazilian too.
And I want to add something. I'm not saying to sing in Portuguese, please. You can sing in your native language, but if you're featuring with Brazilians, the Brazilian guy sings in Portuguese and you sing in your language, it's okay, but it's important to add.
Yeah, it's a very important point, because of course each one have your own language. It's important. We are curious about other languages, right? But
I think that we have already some featurings in French and Portuguese. I remember, I'm not sure, but I remember that Cell made some featuring with Zaz. It was so beautiful. And there is a very nice featuring that's coming up, I think that this year or next year, with a very interesting French artist that's called Vuil, with a Brazilian artist. So I think that there are some French artists that are already doing some feats with Portuguese singers. And it's so beautiful when you kept together the two languages, Portuguese and French. They are two Latin languages. So it's so beautiful when they are together. I think that featurings in French and Portuguese will be really nice.
yeah, we are a multicultural people, so it's a nice to be features in both languages. It's very nice strategy. Okay, and now we can bring Marina Mattoso to the talk. Marina, it's yours.
Nice to come after these two amazing professionals. Well, I don't know if there's so much to add, but I'll do my best. As Marina said, we're YouTube heavy user, so we give tons of attention to video clips. And there's another strategy. If you don't have a music to invite a Brazilian artist to do a featuring with you, maybe you can do something more creative with a Brazilian icon, like Katy Perry did with Gretchen. That's a huge internet phenomenon, and the Brazilian icon as well. Katy Perry invited Gretchen to be part of her video clip. Therefore, the Brazilian audience, they went crazy, like we are seen by some international artists. So there are other ways to connect with Brazilian people. Of course, like when the music is connecting with us, it's the crème de la crème. My French is like this. But you can invite Brazilian icons, Brazilian celebrities to live rooms on Instagram or to Twitter spaces. Twitter is also a great platform, a great social media here in Brazil. It's really popular. And I also suggest French artist that wants to be in touch with Brazilian audience to be aware of Brazilian trending topics, so that in case something every week, as both my colleagues said, every week, unfortunately, our government gives us reasons to stay even more desperate. But sometimes when we see other artists from other parts of the world, like showing their affection with Brazilian notícias, with Brazilian like an accident on Amazon or something like that, and you tweet, I'm really sorry for the Brazilian people. These are other ways to be in touch with us. Paulo Gustavo was an amazing comedian and actor here in Brazil, and he was a huge fan of Beyonce, for example. When he unfortunately passed away because of COVID, Beyonce put his picture on her website, and like this was really comforting for us. So I think, like Marina and Veronica said, there's no such thing as the Brazilian taste. We are a huge country. My taste is different from the northern taste, southern and whatsoever. So it will be really important for you to first understand, why are you focusing on Brazilian market? Is it because of the numbers? Is it because of a possible tour? Then create your buyer persona, your Brazilian buyer persona, right? So what are his or her characteristics? What are their tastes? When should you get in touch with them? What are your Brazilian partners? And as Veronica said, have Brazilian professionals working with you some way. It may be through an aggregator here in Brazil, press manager focused on Brazil, digital marketing. So be in touch with us and be constantly talking to your Brazilian market. Like, get on Twitter once in a while and speak with us directly. And yeah, I think these are some points I'd like to bring.
Okay, Marina, you appointed so many points that are important, because I think, for example, you bring us like how the other artists in the other part of the world seen us, like the example of Paulo Gustavo, for example, and other examples, because it's important to French artists bring us, know us like a folk, our culture, our artists, our way to do our things. It's so important at this point. I think that study the Brazil is so important to many actions that French arts can do. Okay, we have here some presentations, and now I think that you can do questions here in the chat, because I will catch some question here in the chat and present to our guests. But before the questions, I have to ask you some points specifics. For example, Veronica, I call Vero because so many years in the music market. Vero, you work in an aggregator, digital distribution. How does an aggregator, not a marketing agency like Jangada or like Listo, work digital marketing for artists? What is the importance of labels, for example, in this process? I think how to choose an aggregator, for example. I heard your participation in the Fast Forward podcast. An important tip. There are so many podcasts in Brazil that discuss our market. So it's in Portuguese, of course, because I think that's important to know the themes, the points that the podcasts are discussing. And one of this is Fast Forward, and other is Podclave. And I heard Veronica talking Fast Forward podcast. Veronica, you spoke the boundaries between aggregators and record labels in the current market. And I think it's important to give the panorama here to the French artists. Can you talk about this?
Yes, sure. And this is a very nice subject that we didn't talk yet here. That is the presence of the labels. You know, in French market, we have a lot of labels and a lot of interesting labels. You know, there are some labels from another time, the time of the French touch, the electronic French music. There are some labels of nowadays. There are some labels born in today. There are a lot of labels in a lot of kind of music, working with a lot of kind of music. And it's really interesting. I recommend to people from abroad that want to know French music, search for the labels. They are always presenting us new French music. So it's a very nice way of work with labels and new music. And in the other side, here in Brazil, I think that we don't have so many labels as they have there. And it makes difficult to them to know our new music. We were talking about how people from abroad see our music. And thinking especially about French market and French people, I think that France doesn't know yet what we are doing today here. You know, when we talk about French music there, everybody knows our really good music that were exported on 70s, maybe 80s, but especially on 70s. And I think that we didn't export to France, especially, so many new music. And I think that the labels missing here helps on this. You know, I think that the labels, they a group that the labels make some artists not make. The labels bring some artists together. So when we are in group, it's easier to go outside, to go not how can I say, not to a few countries, but a lot of countries. You know, when we have a group that's presented to other countries, it's more interesting. And here in Brazil, we kind of miss this. You know, some big artists have their own label and they release their own music, but not other artists' music. We have a lot of labels that have only one artist, one big artist, one huge artist. But we have a few labels that work to a lot of medium or small arts, you know. So I think that when we talk about French market and Brazilian market, this is a kind of difference that doesn't help us to export our music, but it helps French music to export them to here. So I think that label is such an important part of the business. As you told, I work in a distributor, a digital distributor from Spain, and it's really interesting to explain that we are the way between the stores, the platform, and the artists and labels. That's what we do. We are a tech company that takes the music and it distributes to digital platforms. That's what we do. So on this way, we used to do marketing to digital platforms too. We don't work in social medias. We don't work in PR. We don't work in offline media. We don't work in other marketing issues. We work at the platform marketing. We work inside Spotify, inside Deezer, inside YouTube. That's the market that we do. So that's why it's important to have some distributor that have a team in Brazil. As the playlist editors are Brazilian and list a lot of Brazilian music, they are not always paying attention to the abroad music. So if you have a Brazilian team in your distributor that can go to these editors and show them your music will deliver well delivered to the Brazilian playlists. You know, even the international music playlisters here in Brazil have Brazilian editors. So it's quite crazy to come here and don't have a team in your distributor based in Brazil. And so that's what I want to say you, that the labels are really important on the business, and the local team working with the label are the best scenario that you can have to deliver your music here.
Okay, great, Vero, great. Okay, and now I ask to Marina Amano a little question. Marina don't work in aggregator, but in an agency like Marina Mattoso. And Marina Amano, how to work digital marketing with small artists who don't have an expanded audience? You can talk about Tuyo, for example, but Tuyo that you manage is not exactly a small band anymore, right? They just made a brilliant participation in South by Southwest. But you could tell us a little about this case and about the strategies that you have designed for the growth of Tuyo. And it will be interesting for you talk about your research process about the artist. I heard you talk in the podcast, and it's amazing, your research process. As a professional, I am interested in this type of research because I'm a researcher too. I work exactly on consultancy classes for artists who want to outline better career strategies. And I would have to hear from you again about your research process. In fact, did you do the research for Rashid, for example? Because I know that Rashid do a research, and I don't know if you are responsible to the Rashid research. So you can talk about Tuyo or other bands. Let's talk.
Okay. Just to have a dimension, Tuyo has like 230,000 monthly listeners on YouTube. So to understand,
it's not small anymore.
But it's small comparing to others huge artists we have in Brazil. They are still seen as an independent. They are independent musicians, and they are a trio. And also, I would like to add that they just released a new album today. Please listen to their new album.
I knew this morning.
Yes, I was woke up until late yesterday just to check if everything was okay with the release. But so I think, as I said, understand the audience. It's very important when you are a smaller artist, because, for example, we made this research with Tuyo when I started to work with them like 2.5 years ago. And the band was growing very fast because they were participating in fairs like Sim São Paulo, like another important fairs in Brazil. And the festivals was discovering them. They were seeing them for the first time, and it made them grow very fast. So the fairs are important. I think you should participate on fairs in Brazil because all the professionals are there looking for the new artists, and that's why we had an experience that Tuyo was playing on BM, BME, 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 BME. BME. It's a fair in Brazil, and there was a guy from Czech Republic there, and he was from Colors Festival, and our first tour outside Brazil was because of this fair. So it is important to participate. And this result we made with Tuyo happened because they were growing so fast, and we would like to know more about their audience, their new audience, who they are. And then we didn't have money to do that, so we created a Google Forms with some questions, and we put this Google Forms on stories on Instagram, and we make some ads for fans, for followers. So these followers on Instagram, they answered these forms, and then we had like 600 answers for these forms. And then
numbers are difficult.
Yes.
For me too.
And then we found out, for example, that we knew the age because of social media analytics, for example, but we understood that they were on college, for example, and they were not working. So they didn't have money to buy expensive merch or to buy expensive tickets or drinks where we were going to play. And another thing we understood, it's that it was important to play in venues next metro stations, for example, and the concert should stop before it closes the metro station. So when you understand your audience behavior, it becomes a little bit easier to work. And this research was important for that, and was important also because we understood how they listen to music and how they buy clothes, for example, where they buy clothes, so we could make some partnership with brands and everything. It was important. But work next fans, it's important. Like we have some groups on Facebook and WhatsApp with fans. And it's easy for international artists have this in Brazil because they are really fans, and we understood that if we give attention to them, they will work with us together. So I have some I know some guys, for example, that they have fan clubs in Brazil of small bands abroad. So it's important to have this relationship with fans and maybe participate in these groups. So if you're a small artist, you should look for these small groups and create this kind of relationship. So I think it's my tip for small artists.
Okay, it's amazing. Well, I love the research process. I'm a specialist in it, and well, I think that your research is amazing. I'm not the better person to talk about research because I love this, but I think that is so important to do some researches with fans like you. Well, it's my job to do this. I think that is so important. And last question to Marina Mattoso. Well, Marina, you are the marketing digital manager of the king, our king, Gilberto Gil. Tell us about your strategies, your best strategies for Gilberto Gil, our king Gilberto Gil. And also, what are the particularities of digital marketing for artists? You can talk about, for example, your amazing course of Music Hill Academy. In fact, I also teach a course there. And well, but back to your question, what the particularities of the digital marketing for artists here in Brazil that you told in your course in Music Hill Academy? Give us some tip of most important points, thinking in audience of friends, like artists coming to here.
I think
I heard you talking in PodClub too about this point because I'm a fan of podcasts, and I heard you doing a brilliant participation in PodClub.
Thank you, Dani, so much for the question. The thing, I think the word that I repeat the most is planning. Plan everything. Do it with antecedência, with
A lot of time before.
yeah.
As much time before as
Yes.
as you have,
Yes.
better the plan will be.
Exactly. Have a long-term planning strategy so that you can understand what are you seeking, right, with the next launch. So one question that I would like to ask our audience is, why are they aiming on Brazil? Like, after knowing that, we can understand what are the best strategies for them. Because on my course, né? On my curso, what I say is
Classes.
on my classes, yeah, perfect. There's no such thing as a cake recipe, like as a a strategy that works for everybody. No, we live in an era of too much content coming from everywhere. So it's extremely important for you to do as Marina did with Tuyo, and understand to who you are talking so that you can create rich content to that audience. So if you plan beforehand, you will know what are you willing to achieve with the next step of your career. So maybe I'd like to establish a goal to have twice as much as a Brazilian audience as I have now after my next launch. So what are the actions I'll do for this goal? I will search for Brazilian feeds. I will search for Brazilian influencers that talk to my audience. I'll search for TikTokers in Brazil to maybe pay them for them to use my next track on their content and spread the word. I will do a monthly meeting with my Brazilian audience on a Zoom. I'll be in touch with them weekly on Twitter. I'll understand what what they're talking about. We are fluent. We're not fluent in English and Spanish, French, but we're fluent in memes, in memes. So be aware of what's trending in Brazil. If you have this brand persona that has humor on it, use our memes on your favor. So there's the Chico Buarque meme that he's sad and he's happy. How can I use this for my strategy? Can I research? Yesterday, I saw an artist, an actress, Miss Khalifa. She was commenting on Brazilian memes, and she asked, "Hey, Brazil fans, what's kkkkkk?" And they were like, it's laugh out loud, but in Portuguese, it's LOL in Portuguese. So after knowing what you're willing with that next step of your career, it will be so much easier for you to understand what are the perfect strategies for you to reach that goal. And it will be even easier for you to map if you're coming close to that goal or if you're too far from that goal, and what you should adjust on your strategy to reach that goal on that time. A smart goal that I always say: a specific, measurable, relevant, achievable, and temporal goal. Like it has a time to happen, and then you can analyze your data to understand if your goal was achieved or if it wasn't, and why it wasn't. This for me, I'm wrapping up, Benjamin, I swear. This for me is like one of the biggest advantage of digital marketing. You can see what's happening and what's not giving you results, and you can adjust after data and not after guessing what's going to work and what won't work.
Okay, Marina, thank you. Well, we have only 5 minutes to finish the panel, but we have some questions here. I will read all the questions here, but we are not time enough to respond to all the questions, because I will read to you comment some points only. Brazil is isolated from the rest of Latin America because of the language of the language, or there are other barriers. I think the language is the most important. And are there any ways to connect Brazil with the rest of the continent? Well, it's a large question. Other question: do you have an idea of what are the most popular genres of foreign music in Brazil? It's important. I think that it's an important question to understand the foreign music in Brazil. The 5 regions of Brazil are practically 5 different countries. So many Brazils in one Brazil. Okay, what else? I discovered Tuyo at in São Paulo. Conference are important points of all our markets. Conference. To be in conference is important. Synchronization can be a big opportunity to develop audience in Brazil. Yeah. How can we hope being played in TV shows? Whoa, it's a question. It's not easy, but it's possible. We'll release a new song, Cuban artist Dame Blanche, next June. It's a collab with Brazilian singer Amanda Magalhães. Any advice or things to do the best prepare for this launch? Bruno Bulei, muito bacana esse, a nice panel. In the actual situation, the Brazil needs to talk about the words, about the potential in our culture. Hugs. It's a commentary only. Well, something to say about the foreign genres here in Brazil. I think that there's a point we don't talk about it in 3 minutes. Okay.
I think mostly, if you look if you look the charts, I think we will find like pop music, but as we said, Brazil is huge and we have a space for all. We are open to listen to instrumental music, jazz music also. So I think it's
Yeah, and like 5 years ago, if someone said to me that Korean pop would be trending in Brazil, I would say like, no, Korean pop? What? We don't even speak Korean. Like, and it's there. I think we are out of time, Dani.
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Oh,
But maybe we
Yeah.
can go to the comments afterwards on YouTube and answer some questions.
Yeah,
yeah.
well, our Instagram people can ask us by Instagram. My Instagram is Dani Ribas 77. Ask me
Okay.
things.
Yeah, I'd like just to leave here a final point. Thank you all, especially le Centre National de la Musique. It's a very important thing to be here talking about our country, our music market, our music industry. I'd like to mention again the comment that Bruno Boulet left here on the chat. He told how important is to us Brazilian people to speak to abroad about our culture, especially in this terrible moment that we are living here. We are in a very important crisis, not only for the pandemic thing, but also in a political way. So it's really important to us to keep talking to you about our country and our work here to keep music playing, So I'd like to thank you very much, you all, to be here listening to us. And thank you girls, to be sharing. And it's quite important to keep talking and keep exchanging with other countries. Brazil is needing this today. So
Yeah.
thank you everybody.
Thank you for this point, Veronica. Very important. And we don't have any time anymore, but you can leave your contacts to the people contact you. My Instagram, Dani Ribas 77, and yours?
Say, Marina.
Mine is easy. It's Marina Mattoso, just as is it written here. I never acerto, but that's my handle at Instagram, so reach out.
Thank you very much. Mine is Marina Amano, as you can read, and Listo's Instagram is Listo Digital. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. My Instagram is Veronica_Pessoa.
Okay. Thank you all. Well, we have to finish, and I want to thank again for your participation. Girls, you are amazing. Thank you, Benjamin, and the whole of team of the invitation to organize this panel. And thank you to the audience. Okay? See you, Benjamin. Come in.
I'm here. It's such a pity to interrupt you. I mean, I don't want to. I could sit there and just listen to every good tips you said, and it's just lovely to hear your vibe and your energy. Thank you so much. It's really great. If you want to go further, the CNM publishes some guides in French for the French music structure about some selected music markets. So 2 brand new ones are now online about promotion and marketing in particular in Brazil and also in Mexico. You'll find them on our International Resource Center. The link is in the description of this video, and also our colleagues will post it right now in the chat. Thank you so much again. Hope to see you again, and let's continue networking now. Thank you. Have a very nice day.
Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank
Merci.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.